Hi there, it's Sam from pootles.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. Today I have a notebook cover for you, but this isn't a standard size notebook. This is a long skinny notebook. It's a handy jotter, I think a shopper jotter I think is the technical term. So it opens up in this way, but I wanted to cover it because it was quite boring, and the original one that, the original notebooks had a really quite hideous blue cover. And you know what, the children go back to school next week, and three of my children, my eldest three sons, are going to be going into school proper, but my youngest son Oliver, he will be starting a playgroup, and while he probably won't make particularly good use of the notebook for writing, and he will take great pride in scribbling in it and probably yanking off all the embellishments. But I wanted to do something, and this, while this is the Christmas paper, and the name of it has just fallen straight out of my head. Bear with me a second. I want to call it Seasons of Star, but I don't think it is. Oh, it is Seasons of Star. I was trying to get it wrong with the winter frost. But this is the Christmas paper, but you know, it doesn't have to be Christmassy. It can just be nice, and you know, they're not particularly Christmassy designs as such. So, you know, I just wanted to show the versatility. So I've done 3 notebooks already, and as you can see, I've got Jack's name down here, and the notebook inside. This is Old Olive, and it's got the magnet closure. There you go. And then I've done Oliver's with the cherry cobbler background. Jacob's I've done with crumb cake. I'm going to do Luke's now, but I'm going to do his in chocolate chip. Now, I've already cut the cardstock, which measures 21 centimetres by 16.5, which is basically the full width of our standard A4 cardstock here in the UK, but it would be 8.5 inches by 6.5 inches. I've already scored it as well, because there's just 2 simple little score lines. They come at 8 and 8.5 centimetres, or in imperial that's 3 1/8 and 3 3/8. And you literally just fold and burnish. So I'm just folding over the score lines, and I'm going to burnish them. And this is more, it's less about the construction of the book and more about the decorating and actually how I've put that little the little closure tab on. And you can make this, you know, you can make any pattern, and if you hang on to the end, I will show you one that I made a week or so ago. Right, where's my DSP? Here it is. This is one of the other patterns. It's nice on both sides. I could do it like that, but I'm going to stick with the brights. This measures 7.5 centimetres by 20.5, and then in imperial that's 2 7/8 by 8 inches. And I've lost my snail. I was all very organised. So a little bit of adhesive on the back there, and then I'm just going to open that back out again so I can see where I'm lining it up. And then the tab closure that I've got, you cut this down to 3 centimetres by 6 centimetres, which is 1 1/4 by 2 3/8. Now it sounds like a funny measurement, but there is a good reason. I just want to tab the end, so all I'm doing, I don't know if you can see that, where the this sort of little gap here, I can't tilt it perhaps enough that you can see, but there is a little gap there, and what I'm going to do is slide the cardstock through there so I can get this pointed end. There you go. And that's giving me the little tab. I'm a bit stuck in it. There we go. Get rid of that. And then again, still keeping the punch, and with a spare piece of the matching DSP, which I think I fancy the red bit in it, cut out one of those, and then that will fit perfectly over. So that's why it's 1 1/4 inches. So, bit of snail on there. And which way round is it? We're up that way. So that onto there. And I'm going to grab my notebook, and like I say, this cost me a whole 30p from Morrison's, and they're just handy jotters. So I'm just going to slide that in there for the minute and just line that up. And what I've done is I've lined this edge here up with this edge, and ever so very scientifically I'm going to bend it round. There's nothing more to it than that, and it's just giving me the little score lines I want. I'm going to pop a tiny little bit of snail on there, And now, it looks awfully complicated, it's not. Liquid glue on here, because this is quite a big notebook. I want to be able to reposition it because I'm trying to, obviously I'm lining it up on 4 sides. So, you know, whop it down in the middle. Try not to get my head in view. And because it's a liquid glue, what I can do now is I can lift this up, slide my little tab in and still position everything round. And that liquid glue, when it sets, it will help. It will obviously keep that in place, but it will keep the tab in place as well. So that's that back over. Alright, get rid of the Tombow. My magnets, ever faithful. I will put the item number. I buy these off eBay, and I've had lots of questions and people can't find the seller, so I will actually put the item number in the description bar for you. And I've also found, if you've watched my videos before, you've seen me cutting tiny little bits of snail. I found inadvertently the other day that actually our mini glue dots are strong enough to hold these in place. So, while I'm waffling away, I've got 2 here of these tiny little magnets. They're 6mm by 1mm. I prefer the 8 by 3/4mm, but I haven't got those. So 2 together, so you know that your poles are opposite each other. A glue dot on the back of one and on the back of the other. Stick the magnet down, or the magnets, there's 2 there, so we've got glue uppermost as well. Fold it over and push. Now be quite gentle when you separate these for the first time because they are so strong that you do risk bending the card, the tab, which I'm probably going to do now because I can't get my thumbnail underneath. There we go. Have I bent it? No, I haven't. Phew. I had a tiny little bit of cardstock, but I've lost it. Doesn't matter. I'm using a little 1/2" circle punch. I want 2 of those, and that's to stop these stupidly strong magnets from being quite so stupidly strong. Because that is when you would bend the tab, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep it looking nice. So, glue dot on the back of each of those. I've positioned it over to one side, and that's really so that if you've misplaced where you've put your magnet, you're not going to have the little circles aren't going to be popping out from underneath. You're not going to be able to see them. So that's the magnet closure. It's not as strong now, although it still is. And then my letters, the name. I've used the Notable Alphabet set. I think it's rather nice, and it's kind of a bit sketchy, a bit sort of childlike school maybe writing, and to me it was in keeping with back to school and that sort of thing. So I've done 3 of the letters, and I've got my 4th. I've got the L lined up, and then just onto some Whisper White cardstock, which I had here just now, and I've lost it, and I trimmed it very carefully. Lost it completely. This is the ones I've just prepped earlier. Let me hack a bit out now. Oops. There we go. So I can stamp up now. So I've got my old olive ink and my L. I'm going to punch that out with the 1 1/4 circle punch. I cut that too small, didn't I? To be able to hold on to it, let's turn it that way around. So 1 of those, and then I'm just going to quickly sponge the edges, but this time I'm going to use the chocolate chip because that's the cardstock in the background. Now I've got a sponge dauber because you can get a sort of a shallower edge with these rather than, you know, the sponges that I usually use. So I've probably been right off camera there, sorry if I have. So that's those done, and then I want 4 circles of this, so I need the next size up, which is 1 3/8 of an inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Dimensionals on the back of them, on the back of the letters anyway. And then you just layer them all up.
I like the gap between the 1 1/4 and 1 3/8. It's quite shallow. It's sort of just enough to peep around the edges rather than a big obvious line of cardstock backing it. It's sort of, yeah, like I say, it just kind of peeps through. And then making sure I spell his name correctly. We'll have L first, because it's always a good place to start with the first letter. L and U, K and E, and that is that notebook done. So we've got Jack with the Old Olive textured cardstock, Luke with chocolate chip, Jacob with crumb cake, and Oliver with a cherry cobbler, all in the textured cardstock, all using the Seasons of Style, which is lovely, but it might be a little bit bright for you, it might not be your taste. So here's one I made last week when I was making, I actually put it on my Facebook page that I was feeling a bit blue, so I was going to make myself feel happier. So this is exactly the same way to make it. The background, although I haven't put the tab in this, I've cut the cardstock down in exactly the same way. I've made this bottom layer exactly the same way, and all I've done is created a couple of mats and I've stamped and punched. So it's the same notebook covered in exactly the same way, looking completely different. But these are showcasing Seasons of Style, and these are for my 4 little boys who are all going back to school. But thank you very much for watching, and definitely check out all of the Christmas stuff. It's not just for Christmas, it's a bit like a dog. It's not just for Christmas, it's for life. You could use the papers for all sorts. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.